everybody, Gina DeLuca here. Okay, so today I'm going to be doing a little more product testing with the TriArt Liquid Glass as my pouring medium. And I'm going to be doing a straight pour with, well actually it would be a cloud pour because I am using the DecoArt Satin Enamel paints. I have the pure white here, which is mixed. It's 50% of the satin enamels and 50% of the artist Loft Phthalo Acrylic. So it's 50% satin enamel, 50% artist Loft to make like one part. It's 1 part paint. So then it's 1 part paint to 2 parts of the liquid glass. And then I added a couple of drops of water to get it to the consistency that I wanted, which is, this is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound, but it disappears very quickly. This is my typical consistency for a straight pour. I will say that the previous paintings that I did with this as a pouring medium, though they were pretty, they did not hold their shape. It moved around a lot. And so I'm going to let this one dry here and see if it's where I was drying it. It was leveled to that table. But I think depending on where exactly I sit it on that table, it might make a difference. So we'll see. So I know that this is level. This is going to be how it is. It's not going to change. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. And this blue that I have is the Phthalo Blue by Liquitex Basics. So I know for a fact that this Phthalo Blue and these 2 whites together create cells. I know that I've done it a bazillion times with these colors. So we're just testing the pouring medium. I know for a fact that these 2 work together when I use them with Floetrol or with mix pouring medium. So let's see what happens with the liquid glass. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you all of the information that you need, the exact paint brands, color, consistency, the recipe, and of course the technique, all of the things that I cannot fit onto one little card. This is a picture of the painting in that video. This box contains a tip for that particular technique. And here at the bottom, you have the color palette that was used in this painting. And then these 2 boxes can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette, or you can build off of those 2 colors. And there are 8 bonus color palette cards. Each bonus color palette card has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors. Mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is put some paint in a cup. Always checking my consistency before I put it in my cup. I will say that I do love the way that colors look when mixed with this liquid glass, because it is like the most pure form of the color that, you know, I can see. Most of the other pouring mediums are white, and so it makes the paints look a little lighter. This gives you the truest color, which is why they look fabulous with pigments when they're wet. If I can find a technique where it will dry the way I left it, I will be very happy. Okay, so I am going to pour from up high. I want this to sink and churn. Okay. All right, I guess we're gonna see what happens here. I am not laying down a base coat. This is more of a test piece. Although, I will say that white is sinking. And I see white coming up already. I see cells trying to pop up. All right, I am going to give this a pour. We're going to make a mess and see what happens. Just doing a regular straight pour. Allowing the paints to churn. As I get towards the bottom of the cup, I'm going to give it a little turn. Y'all know how I feel about my Fibonacci's. I might be going a little wild here trying to get the whole Fibonacci in there. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to let this paint puddle percolate. I'm going to give it a little bit of a torch here. As I pop these bubbles, it is going to bring paint up from underneath. And that is what causes the cells. And you can see that these cells are growing. That is the hydrophobic effect. So yesterday we had a Zoom for our Patreons. If you didn't know, I have a Patreon account and we are doing Zooms. And I was asked if someone was using a glossy pouring medium. Could you still get cells? And while they may not be the same cells that you would get using Floetrol, yes, you can still get cells because it's still going to have a bit of a hydrophobic effect because these satin enamels are matte. They dry matte. And the Liquitex Basics, this Phthalo Blue, dries more, has more of a shine to it. So the paints that are more matte are going to push away the paints that have more shine. It's a hydrophobic effect. If I add glossy paint to all of the paints, the Liquitex paints will get glossier than they originally were. And so will my satin enamel paints, but it's relative. So now, if you raise the gloss factor by 2 because you're adding the liquid glass, then you're adding the gloss factor by 2 to both of them. So it's relative. One is still more matte than the other one. So, will it give you clouds like you get with Floetrol? Maybe not. But you can still get cells, obviously. We see them here. And if we allow the paint puddle to percolate and allow these cells to pop up, they will get bigger when we stretch them. So while I let this continue to do what it's doing, let's talk for a moment about the Patreon account. Or Patreon, my Patreon page. So we are having Zooms where people can ask questions and we get to know each other and just talk about art in general. And also what I am doing over there. So we are working on splash painting. That is like our first assignment over there. And so I will be doing the full length, full speed splash painting there, and today I just uploaded how to sketch it out, because being able to draw it is going to make it a lot easier for you to paint it. And if you're intimidated by painting it, drawing it will help, because then you have the concept in your head. And so I put up a video today showing how to draw it, how to look at it, so that you can draw it for yourself, and it will make it easier when you're looking at any reference photo to be able to pick out highlights and shadows and see the blockings of color. And so we're going to be learning a lot of stuff over there that kind of dives into more than what I do here on YouTube. They don't, the powers that be don't seem to like it when I stretch out of the pouring. So they don't like the impressionist stuff, I guess. Not the people, I'm afraid to even say the word, because I feel like it gets us flagged as creators. But, you know, it's that thing that sounds like Al B rhythm. Okay, so I am going to give this a tilt. Usually, you know, I do usually use a base coat, but I mean, this stuff is fairly pricey. That is true. But the finish is beautiful when it's done. Once it dries beautifully. But we will see how this all holds up as it dries. Okay, as I tilt, I always bring the paint back to center before I change direction. Regardless of what direction I'm going, bring the paint back to center. That will help you maintain your composition. And the paint does move a lot slower and a lot more unevenly if I don't use a base coat. But I just wanted to answer the question, will it sell? Let's see how this is getting very wiggly. It's because my canvas is dry and I'm tilting too quickly. That's a combination of that. Okay. Now I'm going to bring the paint back to center again and try to adjust this composition to something that makes me happy. I'm going to bring my Fibonacci back together as much as I can. Okay. This is probably going to be getting embellished, unless it does some kind of magical thing after I walk away. But judging by the looks of it. So I'm kind of looking at it like that, and maybe there's like a little polar bear or something in there. Okay, but this is the direction that it was leveled, so that is how it's going to sit. We shall see what happens. I'm going to let this sit and see if more cells come up. And then I will bring you in for a close-up, and we will see what it looks like dry. Don't forget to touch up your edges. Okay, here it is. This is dried. I did not get a video of while it was still wet. But this is dried, and there is a bit of texture to it this time. You can see it's got a bit of texture, but the texture is these crazy cool little cells. Look at, I mean, that looks like a, you know, microscope. How trippy that is. So, unexpected results. It did shift. You can see it got some wiggles in there. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was level. I guess I could have popped a level on it after it dried to make sure. So, got those wiggles in there. Don't love those. But that is so trippy. I mean, that looks so 3D that, like, that, I should just take close-ups of that and have prints made. That is so crazy looking. But those are the results of using it for a straight pour. Yes, there are cells. No, they did not hold their shape the way that I would prefer them to. But that, I mean, it looks like a sea anemone. Anemone cells. But there it is. So I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Please do check out the description box below for links to my Patreon. Join us there. Lots of cool stuff happening over there. And also in the description box, you will find the link to my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and the fluid art inspiration cards for sale. You'll also find the link to our Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces, ask your questions, get some inspiration. Good times had by most. It is the internet after all. You will also find affiliate links and coupon codes in that description box. What else? What else is in there? I feel like I'm missing something. But I guess not. All right. That is going to be it for me for today. Wrapping up this trippy experiment. I mean, I'll just do prints of that. Look how crazy looking that is. That's wild, man. All right. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. I hope to see you over on Patreon. Go make some art.